Their wives love them just the way they are.
He doesn't believe when I say I think he's attractive and he's my Bruce Willis.
But to these men, being bald is a curse.
Just the word bald, isn't that a defect? You know, bald spot in the tire.
And they're all desperately seeking a cure.
They told me to put a pantyhose on your head.
You put pantyhose on your head.
I knotted it right up.
Meet the Follicle 5. 5 hair-challenged men who took our challenge. We ask each to try a different approach to curing baldness. Everything from the latest FDA-approved drug.
Take 1 tablet each day.
To a hair transplant.
I'm starting to make the sites where the hairs are going to be implanted.
To a potion we found on the internet.
Tastes a little fishy.
Which one helps grow hair today?
I actually have my brush with me.
And whose hair will still be gone tomorrow?
I don't see any growth.
Rob Stafford with a hair-raising challenge. Dateline with Stone Phillips will continue after this brief message. Still ahead, can wearing a hat cause you to go bald?
Totally untrue.
So what does cause men to lose their hair, and what can help them get it back? We challenged these men to put 5 different cures to the test.
Any of the ladies noticed a difference in the hair?
Oh, yes.
What worked on our volunteers, and what didn't? And next, his wife says bald is beautiful, but he doesn't believe it.
He goes, yeah, you just say that because you love me.
Now he's one of Dateline's Follicle 5, putting these different baldness cures to the test. Which ones work? The answer may surprise you. From our studios in New York, here again is Stone Phillips.
From Bruce Willis to Michael Jordan to Tony Soprano, you hear it all the time. Bald is beautiful. But what if it's you? Hereditary hair loss affects 80 million Americans who spend billions of dollars every year looking for a cure. That's a hair-raising amount of money. The question, are those cures raising any hair? Tonight, a new Dateline challenge. We asked 5 balding men to try out a series of products and procedures that promise to restore hair. Which ones worked and which didn't? Here's Rob Stafford.
Meet Dateline's version of the Fab Five. They're 5 proud men at the pinnacle of their lives. And life is good, except for one thing. They're all losing their hair. For men, going bald or having thinning hair can be an extremely emotional issue, bringing on feelings of lost virility, attractiveness, sexiness, or simply getting old.
It just changes the appearance in a way that you don't want it to change because you don't have control of it.
I think of my father. My dad has no hair, and I said, that's me.
Could you imagine if parts of your body just started falling off as you got older? You'd want to stop that.
But now our guys are going to try to get control of their ever-widening bald spots and ever-thinning hair. The 5, all friends from the Miami area, have agreed to participate in an experiment for Dateline. For 12 months, they're each going to try a different drug, medical procedure, or one of those products you've seen advertised on late-night television or the internet. We'll follow them over the next year to see how well these products and procedures work on these volunteers.
I can feel some of my hair standing up.
Our 5 men range in age from their 30s to our oldest volunteer, who is 54.
We're going to continue in that foreign policy.
Joe Fernandez is an economics teacher at Miami Beach High School. He loves teaching, but he's also been the target of students' cutting remarks about his hair.
Kids say it all the time. You have a comb over. Geez, it's getting real light through the forest there, and you can see right through your hair.
Now he hopes growing back some hair will end the jokes and continue a personal transformation.
I just woke up last summer and decided to change my life. Being 5'6.5" and 274, I just didn't want to be at that weight anymore.
So through vigorous weight training and diet, Joe lost more than 100 pounds. This tough Vietnam vet now feels liberated enough to care about the way he looks.
Set the table, please.
And that's important because he has 2 young daughters from his second marriage, and he's tired of people mistaking him for someone else.
I have an 8-year-old, and I won't be considered the grandfather, but the father.
Right now, they think you're the grandfather?
Oh, yeah, this is your grandfather. Grandfather? No, this is my daughter.
38-year-old Paul Silva is a lifelong resident of Florida, the land of swimming pools.
Paul, you don't seem self-conscious about anything. What is it about the pool?
It's, once you get your hair wet, that's it. The water just takes everything that you've done and it just magnifies all your defects, and it's horrible.
All your defects. That's the way you look at it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just the word bald, isn't that a defect? A bald spot in the tire.
Paul, who works in real estate, has a huge collection of hats, all the better to keep his head covered practically all the time. His wife, Linda, wishes he wasn't so obsessed with his hair.
He doesn't believe when I say I think he's attractive and he's my Bruce Willis.
And something else he doesn't believe in, being photographed. It's been 10 years since he's taken any photographs with his family. But Paul hopes that will soon change, and someday he'll be able to relive his teenage years, when he had hair almost as long as the singers in his then favorite rock group, Quiet Riot.
I'm looking forward to that headbanger's ball so I can swing my hair around. Bang your hair.
It's been a while since I've been able to flip my hair one way or the other, so.
Hector Romero is also 38, married with 2 children. He works for IBM in computer tech support. His job requires a lot of training classes, but his learning often takes a back seat to his hair.
I would try to sit towards the back of the class because my balding is mostly in the back, and I just didn't want anybody sitting behind me because I would just be worried the whole time who's looking at me, and I don't want to have to worry about that while I'm trying to learn.
So as you walk into the classroom, you're already thinking about the bald spot on your head,
sure.
so you select a seat in the back of the class so no one will see it.
Sure. Or when I get into an elevator, I try to get to the back of the elevator.
But Hector, I mean, the person behind you in the elevator or behind you in class, they don't care that.
No, I understand that.
And he hopes his wife will be understanding about him taking on this Dateline hair challenge.
My wife tells me, why are you doing this? Because I've been on other treatments, and she says, why are you doing that to yourself? It's fine, you look fine, but it's not for her and it's not for anybody else, it's for me.
Our last 2 volunteers are brothers and identical twins.
Hey, Dr. Berger.
There, George.
Richard and George Suero have more in common than their looks.
As far as, they've been on Prozac.
43 years old, they both work for Eli Lilly as pharmaceutical salesmen and drive the same type of car. They've been close their entire lives, including their days at Georgia Tech, when they were gymnastic teammates and had full heads of hair. But old photos only serve as stark reminders of what used to be.
Especially if you go to a high school reunion, that's when you really are more concerned about how you've changed and how other people remember you. And they look at you now and they go, wow, geez, you look like really
Have you been
aged.
back to reunion, George?
Yes, I won't go back to another one, probably.
After that one. What happened when you went to reunion?
I worked the lights a lot, There was a spotlight, I'd go around it, I wouldn't be right under it and stuff like that.
Worried you're going to get a shine?
Yeah, a
off the
shine,
forehead.
and then you can see right through, kind of like I'm doing right now. But anyway. Sorry, Paul.
Thank you.
Huh?
While George is married with 3 kids, his brother Richard is divorced.
It was great, and then we got in the water.
And once again, he's on the dating scene, which only compounds his stress over his hair. Especially since he lives in Miami, a city with a reputation for sexy women and men, in top shape and usually with full heads of hair. It makes Richard feel he's at a disadvantage.
Self-esteem is, you just really have to build yourself up a lot more. So you have to try harder, and especially when, you look at a bar, you see all these, nice-looking people, men and women, and they have more hair than you.
But just what causes some men to have more hair and others less? Genetics. Experts say in most cases, sensitivity to the hormone DHT is the culprit. This byproduct of testosterone interacts with hair follicles, causing them to shrink. The hair then thins and can fall out. Eventually, follicles can stop growing hair completely. It's a problem that affects all races and women. The American Academy of Dermatology estimates that nearly 40% of men and women have visible signs of hair loss by age 40. Yet most people fall prey to myths about what causes them to lose their hair, like always wearing a hat.
Totally untrue. There's no way that a hat is going to cause you to lose hair.
Dr. Alan Bauman of Boca Raton, Florida, is a hair transplant surgeon. He says a favorite myth blames baldness on genes inherited from the mother's father.
The hair loss comes from the mother's side of the family, and that's probably an old husband's tale. Not true. We see that it's genetic and it comes from both sides of the family.
And along with those many myths, plenty of wacky ideas on how to grow hair. 50 years ago, I Love Lucy immortalized the kind of extremes men will go through to save their hair. Our five have heard about some outlandish cures too.
I was told, have a cow lick your head.
Have you tried it?
No, it's crossed my mind.
They told me to put a pantyhose on your head.
You put pantyhose on your
Pantyhose on my, to go to, and I knotted it right up, and I was okay, I'm gonna
Do you have
keep
a picture of that?
I can see. I'd like to see that. So obviously I was very desperate at this point.
And at perhaps Paul's most desperate point, he took some unsolicited advice from a stranger at a shopping mall.
And he said, you know what you need to do is you need to buy a horsehair brush and brush your hair. And I'm like, excuse me, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And he goes, for the bald spot.
So did you buy it?
Yes, I did. I will confess, I was there every night, 200 this way and 100 that way.
For men only.
But what kind of results will our volunteers see when they each try a different approach to growing hair? Using drugs like Propecia, minoxidil, a laser device, or a hair transplant.
Absolutely was concerned about the plug look. I did not want the baby doll look.
Our volunteers are on a quest to get back at least some of what they've lost over the years. The Dateline hair experiment is about to begin.
Will they or won't they?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how optimistic are you that you're going to grow some more hair?
The Follicle 5 fight back, but can they win?